right, welcome in. You've got the Sports Huddle, a Tuesday edition on SEMO ESPN Radio. We're always live at 1220 a.m., 93.5 on the FM dial, and we're online. You can find us at SEMOESPN.com. Eric Shawn, lead singer of the Mike Rennick Band, is in studio. We are in the Yuengling Sports Huddle studios. Yuengling, the iconic American lager, America's oldest brewery, and we invite you to join us. You can jump in. I'm sure if you are a Cardinal fan, you've got some thoughts. Our EBOMD Huddle Hotline number is 573-334-1220, 573-334-1220, the Huddle Hotline powered by EBOMD. Mike Rennick in the house. We were off on Friday. We had Brad Korn on Thursday, and he just got a big contract extension. You can listen to that on our podcast page, by the way, if you'd like to go back and hear from the Red Hawks basketball coach. SEMOESPN.com. Find the podcast link, and you can go back and listen to that. So we were off Friday. The Squirrels were playing in a tournament in Columbia, Tennessee. And then yesterday, Squirrels started the Missouri Babe Ruth State Tournament. They had a 9:30 a.m. game at Hill House Park. But we are back today. How was your Independence Day weekend?
It was good. It was not terribly eventful, which was nice. And
I see you've got all your fingers.
I do. Yeah. I guess if you start with 10 and 10, then it's good to end with 10 and 10. So yeah, I got all that. But yeah, it was nice. It was a warm weekend. Boy, it's just tell you, we had a stretch here where didn't really have any rain, and you think, okay, we can kind of start getting some games in, and then here comes the Squirrels State Tournament, and here comes the rain. So I'm sure the scheduling nightmare is underway for Michael Minner and those that help him with getting all the games in. Not a deluge all day long. It doesn't look like, but pockets of rain here and there the next several days. So it never makes it easy.
So the Babe Ruth Missouri State Tournament, every year the Squirrels host it in Charleston at Hill House Park. And then there's the Midwest Plains Regional, and it really depends on where that is. One year, the year they won the national championship in 2018, it was in North Dakota. It has been in Iowa. It's been in Kansas. This year, it is in Charleston. So they'll be hosting the regional. But first, it's the state tournament. They got a couple of games in yesterday before the rains came. And so all of a sudden, they're scrambling. They've got 9 teams representing the state of Missouri in Babe Ruth baseball. Squirrels won their 9:30 game yesterday against a team out of Sikeston called the Revelers. And then the Jumbos played the Aces 16U, I believe. Anyway, the rains came, and the Squirrels were supposed to play at 7:30 last night. That game got washed. I think another game got washed because they were supposed to get a lot of baseball in yesterday. So what they're going to do, the Catfish have been on a road trip. They're going to go to Kappahaw today starting around noon. It's raining right now as we start the show, not hard. I think the rain could be out of here by noon, but it is obviously turf. So the Squirrels will play at 4 o'clock today, and they've got games starting at noon. So I think it's going to be like noon, 2:34 is the schedule over at Kappahaw. So hopefully they'll be able to get those in. But all of a sudden they're in scramble mode trying to get the tournament is supposed to wrap up Thursday with a potential, you've always got that if necessary game potentially on Friday. So things may get moved back all the way to Friday. We'll just have to see. But right now they are at the mercy of the weather, and the Catfish are getting ready to come back home. They've got a game tomorrow at home. The Prospect League All-Star game is in Springfield tonight. The Catfish have 4 players involved in that tournament. I looked at the roster. I don't know when they put these rosters together, but Hayden Nazarenas is not on the roster. I think he's second in the Prospect League in RBIs. He's like red hot. But he was not one of the 4 Catfish listed. But they're playing that Prospect League All-Star game tonight in Springfield, so Kappaugh is available, and they're going to play baseball over at Kappaugh starting around noon.
So, yeah. It's a scheduling nightmare then, as you said, because today won't be the last day of the tournament, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's more games to go. So
at least through Thursday.
Yeah, through Thursday.
As far as Major League Baseball, the Cardinals got a day off. Interesting. They went. They played 15 games in 14 days. Then they got a day off before they started the Cubs series. Played 3 games at Wrigley. Now they've got another day off yesterday, and they will welcome the Washington Nationals. Now they've got 6 games before the All-Star break. It's 3 with Washington, 3 with Atlanta at Busch, and then the All-Star break happens after their 1:15 game on Sunday, and then the Cardinals don't play again until Friday. The All-Star game is next Tuesday, so they're going to get a lot of time off here. The weekend did not go particularly well for 2 individuals named Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty. And, Mike, this is a major problem for the St. Louis Cardinals right now. Things are spiraling downward for 2 players who you can make a very solvent argument should be at bare minimum banished to the bullpen or at maximum designated for assignment. And I think there are a lot of Cardinal fans that would like to see Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty DFA'd.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of the flip-flop of, was it the Boston game, I guess, that the Cardinals were featured on the, as they call it, the game of the world, and he obviously didn't have it that night. And then here comes Eric Fetty to try to lead the charge and get a little redemption for Sunday Night Baseball, which started, an hour late because of rain in Chicago. He didn't have it. He hadn't won a game in, was it 9 or 10 starts, I think now, Eric Fetty. So something's got to give with him. I mean, I hate to be here defending Miles Michaelis, but he's been way more solid, maybe up until late, than maybe you thought he would be all season long. Fetty, really not so much. He had a couple good games there, I think. But, there's no doubt that, some of the pitching woes that you thought the Cardinals may experience this year on the starting staff were targeted primarily, number one, at Miles Michaelis. And then what are you going to get out of Eric Fetty? And right now, those woes are coming to pass. So, I guess if you're contemplating what the future is of the team, you're 6.5 games back going into the start of this series with Washington. Washington just fired their manager, just fired their general manager. You would like to think that they have the ability to get back on track potentially with, Washington. Atlanta obviously isn't playing the way that we're accustomed to seeing them, but I think they're a dangerous team no matter, when you play them. You got some games coming up here, I guess, where you feel like you can kind of potentially get right.
At least on paper, Washington has lost 3 in a row in 6 of 10. The Braves are riding a 4-game losing streak. They are 2-8 in their last 10 games. So you got 2 teams with losing streaks coming to Busch Stadium.
Yeah, so again, an opportunity to kind of right the wrong of this past weekend. I mean, I hate to come on here and say this, but the Cubs are just a darn good team. I mean, they're a darn good team. They can hit, they can score. I know their pitching has been maybe a little bit of their question mark, but it seems like when they're healthy, they're going to be competitive, if not better, and keep them in most games. And with that offense, they're going to be tough to catch.
Michaelis and Fetty In their last 17 starts for the Cardinals, combined, the St. Louis Cardinals are 5-12 in the last 17 games started by Michaelis and Fetty.
Say it again.
In the last 17 games combined that have been started by Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty, the Cardinals are 5-12 in those games.
Yeah. So regardless of their own win record, which obviously from an individual standpoint isn't looking very good, especially for Fetty. Regardless of that, I mean, the Cardinals as a team just they're not winning when those two take the mound. You got some guys. You got some guys that could slot into those spots. I mean, do you look at Steven Matz maybe joining the starting rotation?
Interesting that you bring up Steven Matz.
Is it?
Because I've heard other Cardinal fans say, what about Steven Matz? Well, Matz was pretty good early in the season. That fair?
Fair to say.
Okay. April, he had a 1.80 ERA. May, he had an ERA of 3. In the last 30 days, Steven Matz has an earned run average of 7.45. In the last 30 days. It is 4 homers in the last 9 innings. And so Steven Matz hasn't exactly been pitching well. In the month of June, Steven Matz had a 7.30 ERA, and he's got a 5.40 ERA in July, but it's still early. He's only had 1 appearance.
Yeah. Well,
by the way, Michael McGreevy just gave up 8 earned runs Sunday at AAA Memphis. It was a big shootout, but I think we all believe that he's a guy that is going to be at the big league level, and many fans want to see Michael McGreevy up here ASAP.
The cupboards appear to be kind of bare whenever you lay it out there like that. It's like, what are the options? I guess, you could say, well, any option's better than the couple that you rolled out there this past weekend against the Cubs. Yeah, I think Matz, though, even though the ERA is inflated, I think he's proven that he's had
got
a
better,
pretty decent year so far.
He's got better stuff than Fetty and Michaelis do at this stage of their pitching lives.
Right. I think he obviously has plenty of experience as a starter, and I think you got to give him a shot.
Here's the quote from John Mozeliak to Katie Wu. Okay? Michael McGreevy is a major league pitcher. There's just not a spot open. End quote, John Mozeliak, president of baseball operations, St. Louis Cardinals.
Was that a recent quote?
Yes. Just gave the quote to Katie Wu. So there's just not a spot open.
So it sounds like there's not plans for a DFA or anything of that nature right now.
It's either going to be Michaelis with a phantom injury or Fetty with a phantom injury, and McGreevy's going to get back up here. Right now, the Cardinals have Sonny Gray tonight, Palante tomorrow, Michaelis supposed to start Thursday. I got to think that's a McGreevy start.
I was listening to 101 ESPN this morning.
Yeah.
They were talking about McGreevy, does he leave from Memphis and does he stop off at Lambert's and kind of hang out for a little while? And then they mentioned Cape Girardeau. Does he stop at Dalhousie or hang out at SEMO's campus? Does he stop in Perryville and just kind of hang out and say, hey Mo, like I'm on the interstate, I'm ready whenever you need me, because that's kind of been the track record for him. He's been back and forth, obviously quite a bit, not knowing when. So he started when, on Sunday? You said
Sunday.
Okay, so yeah, Thursday I guess potentially could be a spot for him.
Is there any way they run Michaelis out there on Thursday?
Oh, I think there's a way. Because he's the guy. He's in the rotation. There's nobody else. He's got the spot.
He's Mo's guy.
He's Mo's guy.
He is.
Yeah.
2 contract extensions from Mozela.
Yeah, you can't, you can't make himself look bad by, short of, like you say, I don't see the DFA with Michaelis happening. Maybe a Fetty, but I think more it's the phantom injury that I think would land one of them or both of them on the IL.
I think Michaelis has better stuff than Fetty. Did you watch Fetty pitch?
He couldn't throw a
against
strike.
the Cubs. He was so frightened.
Yeah,
he was trying to live on the edges and nibble, and it's 4 walks in an inning and a third, and Marmol just had to go and get him.
I know.
He couldn't make it out of the second inning.
It was brutal.
He is a guy whose body language is that of someone who is pitching out of the fetal position.
He definitely looked
is that
scared.
an overreaction?
Maybe a little bit, but yeah. But I get your point.
He's fetal.
I know he could not throw his changeup for a strike at all, and then it was either walk or he grooves one down the middle and base hit or whatever the case may be, and that was just an atrocious game to watch. Which I didn't really watch much of it because of that.
You taking calls?
Yeah.
We will head to the EBO MD Huddle Hotline. I do want to say this. Since June 22nd, okay? June 22nd. Today is July 8th. Since June 22nd, the Cardinals have an earned run average of 491. That ranks 26th in baseball. And since June 22nd, they've given up the 5th most runs, and the starters have been the main culprit. 48 earned runs since June 22nd, second most in all of Major League Baseball, and obviously Fetty and Michaelis are the main culprits.
I'm sure you may mention this at some point, so I apologize for jumping ahead, but I don't understand the Sonny Gray scheduling.
It is baffling.
How does he not throw against the Cubs? And what was the series before that?
They just have finished 7 games with the Chicago Cubs. How many games did Sonny Gray pitch in?
Yeah, it was the other
0.
It was both Cubs series. He never threw
0.
He's your ace. I know he likes to have his regular rotation, but at some point you got to say, man, we need you out there. Now, obviously,
he could have gone on full rest against the Cubs, and they did not go with Sonny Gray, not once.
Yeah, it's baffling. Not that he would have maybe had any better results. I know he got knocked around by the Pirates a little bit, but still.
Let me tell you this. He's not going to give up 6 home runs in a game.
No.
Okay?
Right.
In the history of the St. Louis Cardinals, no pitcher had ever allowed 6 home runs in a game. Ever. And Michaelis did it in 3 innings.
And he had done better this season in controlling that side of the game for him. But, man, he just... it was batting practice is all it was.
And at some point, Marmol just said this game's over, and he let him bleed out in front of everybody on Apple TV.
Maybe he realized not many people were watching.
Just bled out on the mound at Wrigley.
That's tough.
So you are taking calls.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're headed to the EBOMD Huddle Hotline where Rusty is on the line. Good morning, Rusty.
Good morning, guys. I'm glad for the positive energy this morning.
Well, we're trying to keep it real. We keep it real on this show, or as far as we know, we do.
So you're saying that 40% of your starting rotation is garbage, and that's not a good thing, a good formula for the playoffs? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that as we start play today in Major League Baseball, around Major League Baseball, all of the games that are getting going, the St. Louis Cardinals are a game and a half out in the wild card. They are certainly a player right before the All-Star break here. If you're a game and a half out of a playoff spot, you are in the mix.
So that's my issue, Eric, is, again, the messaging for the Cardinals and what their plan is, right? What are you trying to make the playoffs or not? Because if you're not trying to make the playoffs, then say it and let's move on and, start selling guys, whatever. But if you still have hope for the playoffs, those two guys in your rotation cannot continue in there, period. Look, you have the All-Star break coming up next week, right? Monday and Tuesday, the Home Run Derby All-Star. You have an opportunity to reset things there. That was the point of moving Sonny Gray up to tonight's start, is to be able to allow him to get 2 starts before the All-Star break. Fine. I'm okay with that. Like you said, it was malpractice as far as not getting him at least a start against the Cubs, but I digress. But look, guys, I mean, there's all kinds of different options you can take. You can go with a bullpen start. You could make it through to the end of the month, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. You have some off days, obviously with the All-Star break I just mentioned. You could have your 4 starters or, and have a bullpen day on that 5th day. Guess what? The Major League leading Detroit Tigers are doing that. Every 5th day they have a bullpen game. The Detroit Tigers, who lead the majors in wins. Why can't the Cardinals do something like that? Matt's obviously an option, other guys as well, but at least to get you through the All-Star break, maybe add some depth there. But, I mean, to keep doing this over and over, and using a quote that Mo has used before, right, guys, is, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I mean, come on. It's just I don't get it. I do expect them to make a move with Fetty. I actually believe that they're going to keep Michaelis in the rotation, at least for the time being, until August 1st. I think Michaelis will be in the rotation. Well, I don't agree with that, but I think that's what will happen.
Well, I agree with you. I think if one of them goes, it's going to be Fetty. Maybe partially because of what Eric just said, that, Michaelis is Mo's guy. He signed him a couple of times and wants to continue the Michaelis trend here. I get what you're saying, Rusty. As we look at the trade deadline, you think about the Fettys, because at one point it's like, well, maybe Fetty's a guy to trade. Who's going to want Eric Fetty? Who's going to want him? I guess somebody out there would, but.
He's got zero trade
value. Does Arenado have trade value anymore? I mean, he's got a couple injuries. He's done okay this season. I mean, I guess. I mean, where do you start looking if you say the Cardinals are going to be sellers? Who are they selling? Who off their roster right now is going to be enticing for a team? Maybe it's Nolan Gorman.
Relievers.
Right, or the Helsley, right? One of those guys potentially, but there's not a lot of trade pieces. So with that in mind, are you like, well, let's just roll with this team and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, look, like you said, who's going to take Arenado? Well, I mean, there are a couple teams that could use a third baseman. The Dodgers just had an injury with Muncy. The Yankees really need a third baseman. Obviously, Jazz Chisholm hasn't been the answer there. He's been moving around other places. However, the issue with Arenado is the contract and who's going to take on the money and who's going to do that on the production that he's had. So it's unlikely there. Look, I look for Nootbaar and Gorman, potentially one of those two the Cardinals could decide on and want to trade. With the way Gorman's playing, I kind of think that they'll hang on to him. But you mentioned it. I mean, to me, Matz, Maton, and Helsley, all 3 guys with expiring contracts, should be guys that you would look to trade. Now, obviously, if you're trying to make the playoffs, I understand that that's a tough pill to swallow. Look, those guys are going to be needed in the back end, but at the same time, I mean, you got to look for the future, and this staying pat, staying in the middle, not sitting on the fence, so to speak. I think Cardinal fans are tired of that. I, for one, am as well.
In the last 15 days, Nolan Gorman has 4 home runs and 9 RBIs. He is showing signs, and in the big win on Saturday, in addition to his home run, he drove in the tying run with an opposite field single through the 6th hole. I am seeing progress with Nolan Gorman. How about you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
His approach at the plate's been definitely better, no doubt.
Well, and his home run was opposite field as well. Went to hit it deep into the bleachers in left center. So the key for him, when he can stay on the ball and think the opposite way, his power is just
prodigious,
unbelievable. He can hit the ball anywhere, on the field and hit it with impact. So, you're seeing him. He's getting more playing time, more at bats, and you're starting to see him turn the corner a little bit.
Now, if you guys actually are thinking about this rationally, let's look for a second. Cardinals have some nice players, okay? But if there was not a rule in Major League Baseball that every team has to be represented at the All-Star game, do the Cardinals have an All-Star? I say they don't. They do not have an All-Star. Is Brendan Donovan having a nice year? Yes. He's a good player. He's a winning player. Is he an All-Star player? I think we just saw head-to-head, and this is not a Cub fan talking. Let's just think about this for a second. The guy who leads Major League Baseball in RBIs and is not an All-Star for whatever reason, Seiya Suzuki. Do the Cardinals have anybody as good as Seiya Suzuki?
No.
Do they have anyone as good as Kyle Tucker?
No.
Do they have anyone as good as Pete Crow Armstrong?
No.
I just named 3 players. The Cardinals don't have any of that type of talent level on their roster. And the guy who at one point was the number 1 prospect in the sport, Jordan Walker, is in his 3rd Major League season. It's his worst season as a Major League player. Gorman shows signs. Alec Burleson is a nice player. Now I think, after all these times being shut out, you see how important Ivan Herrera is. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget about him. Now there is a good prospect.
Right.
Ivan Herrera. And you think that that's a guy trending to be an all-star. But the Cardinals just don't have that. Who was the last homegrown position player to make an all-star team for the Cardinals? Is it Matt Carpenter?
Trevor Rosenthal.
Non-pitcher.
Okay.
It's Matt Carpenter.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, Pujols and Molina, those days are way, way in the rearview mirror. I mean, they just are not getting those type of guys. Now, J.J. Weatherholt just got a promotion to AAA Memphis.
Right.
He is the guy that everybody is hoping is going to be a guy that comes through the system and has a chance to potentially be an impact bat. But right now, you're still waiting around, and Burleson has shown signs. Donovan is a nice player, still a little limited. He's hitting .208 against left-handed pitching. You'd like to see that get better. He is an all-star, and congratulations to him. He's putting together a really good year. But Burleson, Herrera, I mean, those are nice players, but, I mean, they're not all-star caliber players, right?
No, I would agree. You mentioned Weatherholt. I mean, I think you're also starting to see, okay, are these Cardinals in the current MLB roster, and I know they're, some of these guys are probably a season or so away, but like, are they going to start taking up roster positions for maybe the true youth movement of the Cardinals farm system? Weatherholt's, is he a shortstop? Is that right?
In second base.
Okay.
Right now, I mean, he's a middle infielder. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Now, does he trend as being a third baseman? I don't know. But, at some point, that spot's going to be available. I'm sure Gorman will get the first shot at it, but he's an infielder.
Yeah.
Who knows? The way the Cardinals do it, they may, transform him into being an outfielder. As of the series against the Cubs, you go with every team in Major League Baseball collectively, the team's outfield, in terms of OPS and slugging percentage, the St. Louis Cardinals rank 25th out of 30. Outfield, that's where you get a lot of production in Major League Baseball. It has been mix and match, different guys. Just go back and see how many outfielders the Cardinals have plugged in over the last. Just go back 3 seasons. I mean, the they just don't get a whole lot of production. Go ahead, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And I guess it's a question, too, I'd ask is, look, with Weatherholt being brought up to AAA, what's the plan? Where's he going to play at? Is he going to be a second baseman? Obviously, shortstop's taken up by Mason Wynn. Do you give him – I mean, I don't like it, but, I mean, what option do you have? Do you give him looks in the outfield? I mean, maybe Brendan Donovan is a guy that's going to have to shift full-time to, left field. And so, I mean, you mentioned it, the outfield, you don't have the production. The issue is the slugging, right? You don't have that from Arenado anymore. You look at the slugging, you have a couple of guys that have been decent, right? You have, I think, 4 guys with 10 to 11 home runs, but, I mean, you just don't have the overall slug with the team. That's why you're missing the bat of Herrera as well. So that's really the biggest thing in the lineup the Cardinals are missing is another middle-of-the-order bat. That's something that they really, really need. And then obviously with the starting pitching getting shored up. So they have some work to do, and that this team is flawed. I mean, have they overcome some issues this year and been pretty solid? Yes. Are they in the mix for a wild card? Yes. So look, keep fighting and do what you can to shore up. But at the same time, I just don't know what the expectations are for the rest of the year and how they can really make a run.
Even a guy like Wilson Contreras, okay? Right now, Contreras is slugging .420. That's his worst slugging percentage since the COVID season. He's got a .761 OPS. That is his lowest OPS since 2018. Right now, he's just a guy.
Yeah. Well, Rusty, you opened up this your call by acknowledging the positivity of the show, and I think, listen, overall, we can all agree that the Cardinals have far exceeded expectations so far up to this point,
which has got to be a conundrum for a guy like Mozeliak.
Absolutely.
If you put him on a lie detector, guys, I want to get your thoughts. Do you think he would have believed that the Cardinals would be a game and a half out of the wild card with 2 series to play at the All-Star break?
No, I don't think so. And I think if it's, if you look at, now I know they've had their issues with the Cubs, unfortunately, but think about some of the teams that they've beaten throughout, the season. They handled the Dodgers, which everyone thought, oh man, Dodgers going to come in here and they're going to get blitzkrieg. They handled the Phillies. They've handled the Mets. I mean, they've handled a lot of the teams other than the Cubs, Arizona, other than the Cubs that you would think that they would just get blown out by. Now, they can't handle the Pittsburgh Pirates, which, blows my mind.
By the way, the Pirates snapped a 30-inning scoreless drought with a Tommy Pham hit.
Did they?
Yesterday, that you couldn't even slow them down when the Cardinals were pitching against them, but they just went 30 consecutive innings without scoring a run.
Well, yeah, so anyway, point being, they have on the positive side, they've absolutely played, I think, much better than most would have thought going in. I think the thing, for me as a fan, and I think we've all been wondering this, it's like, okay, well, does this team right now have the ability to do anything in the playoffs if they make it? Most people probably say no. And then just what's the future? Is this the type, do you want to kind of have this, so decent team, they're a game and a half out of the playoffs, 6.5 back of the Cubs? That's not what Cardinals fans are accustomed to, and it's becoming the norm as opposed to just an off season here or there. So what's going to happen in the next 2-3 seasons? And do you see Lars Nootbaar being that guy for you? Do you see Victor Scott II being that guy for you? Do you see? You went through the list. Ivan Herrera, to me, is the only guy you really see being able to be the guy. He can't stay healthy. I don't care how good he is. If he can't stay healthy, what good is he, you know?
And I think Burleson is a league average to a slightly above league average hitter.
I would agree.
And he does not hurt you defensively. Rusty, he's a pretty good outfielder, Alec Burleson.
Yeah, I mean, he's made improvements, and he's definitely gotten better. His issue is obviously just the speed in the outfield, right? But if he can get to the ball more times than not, he's going to make the play. And he's a smart enough player that he's going to do the little things right as well. But we mentioned it again. That's where I'm saying the bats. I mean, the biggest issue is they need a big bat in the middle of the lineup. They're missing that. And again, that's where I go back to they need to pick a lane, and they need to stop sitting on the fence and decide, okay, what are we doing? Are we going to play for the future to try to actually improve, or what are we going to go for it this year, the last year? Is that going to set us back another year or two? I mean, that's what I don't want to see. I don't think Cardinals fans want to see that either. But hopefully we're seeing and we're learning things on some of these young guys, and we can say, okay, we either need to move on or we need to stick with these guys. In my opinion, for example, I don't know that I would continue with Lars Nootbaar. At this point, I've seen enough from him to say he's not in my future.
I agree.
And if I can get something from him at the deadline, that some people still think that, hey, because he has great exit velocity numbers and he's a StatCast guy, hey, maybe somebody will take a flyer on him. I'm getting rid of him if I can, because is he helping me right now? I mean, I don't think so. So, again, to me, you got to figure out what you have in these guys and make a decision on these guys.
All right. Anything else, Rusty?
All right. I said my piece. I did enough.
Yeah.
Just wanted to jump in. Appreciate it.
Good stuff, Rusty. Good to hear from you.
See you, Rusty.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. Rusty Hendricks, host of the SEMO Scramble.
Was he being positive? I couldn't decide.
Positively honest?
Maybe that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a text here from one of the, I think you've called it, 13 listeners?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason says, I took my family to Busch for my birthday late June. Fetty's first disastrous start against the Cubs. Luckily, I was still able to have a good time. He says, I think Mo is hoping for Fetty to spin one gem before the deadline and then maybe find a sucker to trade him off to. Hoping for one more gem. I don't know.
These teams have access to all of the analytics, and there is not an analytic where he's a plus. Not one.
Right.
So he goes out there.
The numbers don't lie.
And has a decent game against the Braves. I mean, just can't imagine them running him back out there again, but maybe they will.
And I think he has trended better away from Busch, I believe, than he has at Busch. But I don't know. It's been a long season with him, so maybe all those numbers are all equal now, just as bad at Busch as he has been on the road. Maybe that was early on in the year, but I bet his index finger is probably starting to get a blister on it or something like that on his pitching hand. Might have to have a little 10-day reprieve get that to feel better.
Doing wind sprints in the outfield, it's a groin injury. The groin's barking.
Didn't that happen to, was it Taillon with the Cubs?
Jamison Taillon doing wind sprints, and he's on the injured list.
Pulls a hammy or something?
They think he's out for about a month.
Well, it didn't
That's why Drew Pomerantz started the game on Saturday for the Cubs.
Yeah.
And that was the highlight on Saturday. Now, we don't want to be all negative here.
No.
I want to take you back to Saturday when, and trust me, he's going to get no credit whatsoever, but with Pedro Pages supposed to come to the plate, instead Oliver Marmol said, Joel Pozo, grab a bat.
He's going. Swing, high fly ball, hammer to left. Joe Pozo has just left the building.
Chippy needed a moment, and that's what Joel Pozo has been for this club. He's come off the bench ready. Ollie picks his spots, and it was perfect. That young man can hit.
Cardinals have 8 two-strike hits today. Pozo is behind in the count, worked it full, and absolutely annihilated a pitch to left.
And it was a pleasure listening to a professional and a non-puker voice like we get on Cardinal telecast to hear Mark Sweeney.
I love him.
In the booth.
Yeah.
On Saturday, and not Brad Thompson. And you heard actual analysis, and you were not talking about what kind of food you ate when you were a AAA pitcher down at Memphis in your days as a professional.
Now you're getting negative.
Player.
You're getting negative now, Eric. We've come
but
off.
You can't tell me that was not freaking awesome when Pozo that ball landed on Waveland Avenue. Yeah. That StatCast said 419. Yeah, right.
Well, I want to know what the StatCast was on the bat flip because and we all, or most of us, we've talked about the backstory of him living in his car, all that stuff. So it's a guy that you're just like, man, and his celebration was as good as the hit, as good as the home run.
Here's the thing. I couldn't wait to get home to watch the highlight of him hitting the home run. I say that because I was driving I don't know what we had, 2 15-passenger vans for the Squirrels. They played in a tournament in Columbia, Tennessee. Well, they wrapped up their tournament on Saturday. So we're driving home, and we're probably halfway through the drive. It's a 3.5-hour drive from Columbia, Tennessee, not far outside of Nashville. So I had the game on my phone, and we're listening to it when we actually had a signal. But we were able to catch the Pozo home run, and we were listening to the Cardinals radio broadcast. And so I'm talking to the guys in the van, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to see that highlight. I want to see if he bat flipped. I want to see if he pimped it. I got to see Pozo hitting that home run because we heard it. And finally I got to see it, and it was fantastic. And that was exciting. That was fun. And can we give Marmol a little credit? He's the one that sent Pozo up there. The guy rarely strikes out. What has he struck out 5 times?
Yeah.
All season. I think he did strike out on Sunday.
His first at bat, he struck out on Sunday. Yeah.
I mean, he puts the ball in play. He's going to give you an at bat.
Right.
I mean, he's walked 1 time. You're not walking him. He didn't go from living in his car to get a major league call up to stand up there and draw base on balls. Man, he is swinging.
Yeah, and maybe it wasn't a bat; it was a bat chuck.
Yeah.
Like he chucked the bat, but that's what made Sunday so tough. Not to.
But the whole downer was, who's starting? Fetty.
Yeah.
There's no injury. They're actually going to start him.
Yeah. Because you thought, man. They go into Wrigley and they got blitzed, in that first game. They go into Wrigley, steal a game, in essence, maybe, although they had the lead and they gave it up. But, on Saturday.
It was McGreevy's day to pitch. He pitched for Memphis on Sunday.
No. Too far of a drive,
he went
I guess.
3 innings, 7 hits, 8 earned runs. It was a big shootout game. He did have 6 strikeouts. So it was perfect. Fetty has a sore groin. McGreevy, he had not been in the minors long enough. You got to be down there for, 10 days, and then you can get called back up, unless there's an injury.
Right.
So you got a barking calf, groin, hammy, whatever. You got an injury. You can get him back up there. He's on full rest. It's his day to pitch. Instead, we're going to run Fetty out there. He gets 4 outs.
Yeah.
And gets yanked.
Annihilated.
4 walks in an inning and a third. You got to get him out. I mean, it's set up perfectly to get McGreevy. I don't know if the Cubs would have shelled McGreevy. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you know that you don't have much of a chance with Fetty going out there.
Zero.
You know that part already.
You have zero chance. The way the Cubs are swinging the bats right now, no. I mean, just give me the young guy. Let's see what he can do. All right.
I know.
You still taking calls?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Back to the EBO MD Huddle Hotline. We're in the Yuengling Sports Huddle Studios. Yuengling, the iconic American lager, America's oldest brewery. The EBO MD Huddle Hotline has Mike ready to jump in. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, gentlemen. Sunday morning at my church, I had a young man say, "Who's pitching today?" And I said, "Fetty," and he called the score, 11-0. That's what he called. So I've got to give him some props Sunday when I go back to church.
Man, did that guy buy a lottery ticket?
I don't know. He ought to have after predicting that score. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this Fetty's MO starts out the year real good and then fades in the second half of the year? Doesn't he usually start out good like he did this year, and then he fades? And you can't have that, especially if you wanted to have a playoff run. And, Mike, what you said about how would they do against these playoff teams, I don't know, because you look at what you said earlier, how they've played the Dodgers, how they've played the Phillies, and they've played those good teams tough, and that's all you're going to get in the playoffs is the best of the best.
But don't you think you have a fighting chance, Mike, if you send Sonny Gray, Matthew Liberatore, and Andre Palante to the mound?
Sure you do.
In a playoff series.
Sure you do. As long, Eric, as your offense is clicking too. You know, the offense, they're either red hot or they're just ice cold. There's no in between with this Cardinal offense, it doesn't seem. And, you know, they'll score 8-9 runs in a game, and then they get shut out by the Pirates. That you know, this offense is a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde offense.
And I gave the stat on Thursday, and it's changed a little bit. The Cardinals, 44 times they have scored 5 or more runs in a game. Only the L.A. Dodgers and, believe it or not, the Arizona Diamondbacks have done that more, 5 or more runs in a game. And then 23 times, guys, they've scored 1 or 0 runs in a game. And the only teams that have done that more are the Rockies, the White Sox, the Royals, and the Rangers. And that is a perfect statistical analysis of what you just said, Mike. They're out there, they either score a bunch of runs or they're flailing. I mean, that's a wide discrepancy with the Cardinal offense, because when it comes to 5 or more runs, only the Dodgers and Diamondbacks have done it more than the Cardinals.
In the front office, I read an article this morning on the computer talking about there could be a power struggle in the front office now between Chaim Bloom and Mozeliak, because Bloom is really interested in what he's going to inherit in this team when he takes full control. And Katie Wu said that there's a possibility that there could be a power struggle in the front office now, and that's going to mean a lot for this trade deadline. So it's interesting. I love them. I'd love to see them make the playoffs. I don't know that they will, but I'd love to see them make the playoffs. And real quick, I know you've got to go to break.
Yep.
I'm going to get my crystal ball out, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
Whoa.
Mike, you said trade Newtbar. Okay, you trade Newtbar. Say you trade Jordan Walker. Say you trade Helsley. In 2 years, whatever team they go to, they will be outstanding, and we will be asking why the Cardinals ever traded them and why they couldn't play this way in St. Louis.
All right, that's your prediction.
I give you Randy, Rosarina, and Garcia as examples.
All right.
I think the only one that I would be worried about that is with Jordan Walker. You know, I think
Newbar goes to the right club that has the coaching. Newbar's going to be good. I'm telling you, I see the kid. I think he's going to be good.
All right.
I really do.
Mike's the Newtbar guy. All right, Mike, always good to hear from you.
Talk to you
See you,
later,
Mike.
fellas.
All right, got to take a time out. I don't know if you saw this. There was an outfielder in Major League Baseball that made a throw to the plate clocked at 105 miles an hour. We'll investigate next. It's the Sports Huddle, and we are in the Yuengling Sports Huddle Studios. Yuengling, the iconic American lager, America's oldest brewery, Yuengling. Eric Shawn, Mike Rennick in studio. The Cardinals are back at it tonight. The Washington Nationals come in. They are scuffling, so much so. It was a big surprise that GM Mike Rizzo and manager Davey Martinez won a World Series championship with the Nationals. 2019, the Max Scherzer, Juan Soto-led Nationals. The first year after Bryce Harper left, they won the World Series. And so they have made a change, Mike, and the interim manager was announced yesterday. Former Cardinal Miguel Cairo.
I heard that, yeah.
Former Cardinal and Cub.
Right. That's
The
right.
Cubs. In the last Paul Skeens start, the latest start where they don't score many runs. It really is amazing. They just don't score.
Oh, no. He needs to switch
And they
teams.
just had a 30-inning scoreless drought that they snapped. And he is 4-7, yet leading the league in earned run average.
Wow.
It just, they never score when he's in a game. It's hard to believe. Anyway, so they're playing the Seattle Mariners the other day in his last start, and there's a runner at second base. There is a Mariners hit to center field, and O'Neal Cruz is playing center field now for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he broke StatCast.
Base hit. Crawford will be waved home. Cruz's throw right into the tag. He's out. Wow. What an effort. Davis holds on to it. Tremendous. You just don't see that play made in Major League Baseball. That was outstanding.
J.P. Crawford is a fast runner, okay? Mm-hmm. A fast runner. He's at second base. It's a line drive to center. O'Neal Cruz threw that ball home. It was registered at 105.2. It's the fastest throw from an outfielder in the history of StatCast. The only one harder, former Yankees outfielder Aaron Hicks in 2016 threw a ball 105.5.
Jeez.
And this one was 105.2. And Cruz, oh, by the way, he also has the hardest hit baseball measured by StatCast this year in terms of exit velocity. I mean, he is a toolsy dude. He strikes out a lot, but, man, he's got a lot of tools. Kind of reminds you of Ellie De La Cruz for the Cincinnati Reds. 105.2.
How long has StatCast been around?
I think 2015.
Is it 15? Okay.
Let me see. Okay, in May, he had the hardest hit ball since StatCast started tracking home runs at 122.9 that splashed in the Allegheny River. I mean, he's a StatCast darling.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't help you cut down on your strikeouts. He's got a lot of strikeouts, but man, oh man, they've got a talented guy there, and obviously Paul Skeens is extremely talented. So Clayton Kershaw became the fourth left-handed pitcher to ever get to 3,000 strikeouts. It was a big deal, and it was a big, it was cool to see him get to 3,000 strikeouts. And with that in mind, the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, used his authority to invite Clayton Kershaw to the All-Star game. and put it under the tag of baseball legend.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are bringing Clayton Kershaw to the All-Star game, and I think that's really cool.
I like that. I mean, I think that's a great move, and I don't know. I was kind of thinking, I wonder how much longer he'll try to play. He hasn't announced anything.
No.
As far as
he's been going on one-year deals.
Yeah. How long will the Dodgers continue to? Does he have a roster spot as long as he wants one? You know, and I get he's not going to be there for probably a whole lot longer. But
well, with all their starting pitching,
well, that's true.
Injuries.
Yeah, everybody's hurt.
And I mean, let me give you this in terms of Clayton Kershaw this year. I want to get his numbers here, and of course, I'm struggling to find him. But if you think that Kershaw doesn't have anything left, of course, I can't find it. Anyway, Kershaw is still getting guys out. Okay, this year he is 4-0 with a 3.43 earned run average. 3.43.
That's better than Eric Fetty.
So it is 9 starts, a 3.43 earned run average for Clayton Kershaw. He's still getting guys out. He's 37. Would you rather have Clayton Kershaw or Eric Fetty or Miles Michaelis?
I think I'll go Kershaw. 37. I mean, he's got a wild. I mean, he stays healthy.
Yeah,
especially given as you mentioned, given the starting rotation woes of the Dodgers,
and he's battled injuries the last few years.
Yeah, he has.
He's still getting guys out.
Absolutely,
and it's 32 Ks in 44 innings. Now that's he's been a strikeout per inning guy, more than a strikeout per inning in his career. But he's had to transition to a guy who can't throw the fastball by anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He can when he's showing you the slow stuff, and then all of a sudden zips the fastball in there. But he knows how to pitch with diminished stuff.
Just not in the playoffs.
against the Cardinals for the most part. I mean, if you just go back and
Matt
pull
Adams,
up his postseason stuff, and Matt Carpenter.
Yeah.
Just pull up his postseason stuff. It's mainly the struggles have been against the Cardinals.
I think his ERA is over 4. I think in the playoffs, maybe pushing 5. So that's been the one. I mean, I nitpicking here, obviously, but that's been one of the bugaboos on his resume is his playoff appearances, and it has been a lot against the Cardinals.
Postseason pitching, he's 13-13, 4.49 ERA. So obviously that's nothing like his regular season and career numbers. His career, he's got a 2.52 career ERA. 2.52.
Unbelievable.
It's just remarkable. And this is his 18th year in Major League Baseball.
18th year, man.
Been around a long time. He made his debut as a 20-year-old in 2008.
Crazy.
Still going.
Still going.
3,000 strikeout.
Yeah.
All right. So the pitching lineup, Sonny Gray, Andre Palante, Miles Michaelis. That's what it says as of now. Now, this guy that, keep in mind, the Washington Nationals come in 16 games under 500, but the guy they're sending to the mound tonight, Jake Irvin, is 7-3, but a 4.71 ERA. So it hasn't been, tremendous run prevention, a 4.71 ERA. So it's 75 strikeouts in 105 innings. So he's not exactly a strikeout pitcher. He's 28. He's 6'6", 234. But for a team that's 16 games under 500, he's 7-3.
Yeah, not too shabby.
So he's getting a heck of a lot more run support than Paul Skeens gets.
Yes, he is. You think these next couple series are kind of, we talked about a lot of potential moves, and do you think it's any kind of make or break type of situation right now for the Cardinals, knowing who you have You're facing Washington. You're facing a struggling Braves team, getting ready for the All-Star break.
Boy, whether or not it would change the front office's thinking on buyer or seller.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe. I've talked to plenty of Cardinal fans who just don't think they're going to do anything at the break. And remember last year, the Detroit Tigers, who finished, the last month of the season with the best record and then won a playoff series, and now they're the best team in baseball. They traded Jack Flaherty at the deadline last year, and they traded one of their top relievers. So they sold a couple of pieces, still finished stronger than everybody in baseball, and this year are the best team in baseball. Now, I'm not saying that's what the Cardinals are going to do, but just recently at the trade deadline, a team did ship off a couple of pieces to get some prospects, and the clubhouse said, we're going to compete, and they went out there and competed. Might the Cardinals be a team like that? I don't know. If you are a Cardinal player, whether or not Miles Michaelis is your buddy and Eric Fetty might be your friend, and you like those guys, respect those guys, they're your teammates. When they go to the mound, what are you really thinking as a teammate of those guys?
Yeah. Where's my face mask?
You can't have any confidence, and you know that as of now you are in the mix to be a playoff team.
Yeah. Well, I think, I guess the last thing I'll say on to Rusty's point, I think their strength maybe from a trade bait standpoint would be in the bullpen. And, do they have with a Helsley, and it seems like teams are always looking for bullpen help, in the playoffs. Can you
a Phil Maton, who you spent $2 million on,
your only free agent signing,
might be somebody who's attractive.
Yeah.
And Ryan Helsley's your guy. Are you going to re-sign him? That's one of the reasons that they traded for Eric Fetty and traded Tommy Edman. He hadn't played a game for the Cardinals. He didn't play a game for him last year because he was injured. And it was clear they were going in a different direction. They weren't going to re-sign him. They might as well get something for him. Well, are they really going to go after Helsley after they spent $0 in the offseason? If not, much as it pains me,
right?
You gotta move him.
You got Roycroft waiting in the wings in AAA. You got Fernandez.
You got Granillo down there. I want to see him back up here.
Well, I think you got some pieces that you could potentially slide in there. Not have to mess with the.
Can I get another taste
player
of
roster?
Andre Granillo?
Yeah, I think he might get quite a few tastes coming up. Especially if you move a Matz into the rotation or something along those lines, then you're going to have to see him.
I gave you the numbers on Matz. He has not been pitching well lately, but wouldn't you feel better moving him in? And I don't know how stretched out he is. Moving him into the rotation just because he's got the stuff to get guys out.
Yeah,
and
I
Fetty
agree.
and Michaelis just don't.
No, they have to be perfect. They have to be on the corners. They have to be at the knees.
Michaelis is much
everything.
more savvy than Fetty. Fetty just doesn't have anything.
Yeah, we'll see.
I need a taste of McGreevy. I got a few taste buds that need satisfying, Mike. All right?
Granillo and McGreevy.
That's right. I need them both up here. Put away the Redbird uniforms. All right. Hello to the radiant and ravishing Dawn Shawn. She was texting me earlier, sent me something about this radio host in Kansas City who is all over Patrick Mahomes and his commitment to the team and calling him fat. You ought to do a sit-up once in a while. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I got all the quotes and a response from the trainer of Patrick Mahomes. He got word that this guy's all over. He's in Kansas City trying to make a name for himself, calling out Patrick Mahomes and his commitment to his athleticism and being in shape.
I'm sure that's got lead balloon written all over it.
All right, so that'll give you a little time to kind of research that, and maybe that is a topic that
identify my sit-up routine.
Some other sports people, they may jump on that today, but we can get into it tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
All right, that is Mike Reddick. Stay tuned. Clinton and Friends is coming up next. Hope you enjoy your Tuesday, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.